Welcome back to City Skylines. We're back on Byerwood, and my name is Stelio. Today we're going to continue the neighborhood that is west of the city. Not west of the city, but in the west part of the city. So this neighborhood is consisting of the same triple-decker houses that I've been talking about mainly in this series, but they are going to be slightly densely more packed than usual, and that's just because I think in this neighborhood, for some reason, they decided that the land was just there was a little less strict zoning policies, so they were allowed to place the houses a little closer. So the greedy land developers squeezed out every inch as possible and placed these triple-decker housing buildings as close as possible. So right here, I'm placing a high school that's going to be for this neighborhood in the city. So it's right off of this main road, like high schools usually are, and I like the height. I like the fields, but I think the soccer field is just a little too bright. I'm gonna keep it there as a place marker right now, but I just don't think that's gonna be the final field asset that I use because it's just so bright. Continuing the trend of the pretty tall buildings along this main road, I'm gonna go for pretty dense buildings as well. Just doing more work on the river. I wanted to fix this river up because if you've been paying attention in the episodes, it's kind of been flowing backwards and stuff like that. So I don't really want that to be happening anymore. I want the river to flow in the right direction. So I went through and spent some time in this episode to make sure that the river wouldn't be flowing backwards anymore and that we could actually enjoy nice views of the river and houses on the river, and it's much more motivating to work along this river now that it isn't all flowing backwards. I'm glad that I fixed that because it looks like a real river now. It looks like it flows through the outskirts of the city and it looks nice and the waves aren't going everywhere. So now I start to work on the neighborhood that's going to be right along this river. So like I said before, this river is not going to be big enough for like cargo imports to be placed along it. So the land value along the river isn't going to be incredibly high, and there's not really going to be any ports. So housing along the river, there's going to be neighborhoods that have housing that stretch right up along to the river edge. And I don't know how realistic this is. I might have to come back and switch a lot of this. It's got this cool shape going with the kind of obtuse angles. So I like the shape of the neighborhood and where it goes. There might have to be some switches made, but I'm hoping for the most part that this can stay how it is just because I like how it looks. I don't know how realistic, like I said, it would be for a neighborhood to be placed right here. But I like the location of it. It's right. I'm guessing the people that lived in this neighborhood would work either at these yards over here or at the hospital, which is the first time I'm mentioning that. But the hospital, which is going to be placed right above this park, which is these lines that are kind of right next to this neighborhood. With nothing around it right now, it doesn't look too realistic, but I'm also going to start building commercial and other types of industrial and businesses along this road because it's actually a avenue or a boulevard. It's a pretty wide road here. It's a main road. This mill that I placed here fits really nice because of the angle that it's on, and it fits the road really well. So I'm glad when buildings really fit the road layout that you have, and it looks really nice, and it looks like the building was actually built along the road. I like when it looks like that, so I'm glad that it worked out in that case. I'm just going back and redoing some roads because if you see this little marked out area that kind of goes off of the grid, that is going to be the hospital area, and the hospital, I'm not going to talk about it too much because it's going to have its own episode, but it's going to be based around the UMass Memorial Campus in Worcester, Massachusetts. So I think that when you want to think of what I'm going to be going for, obviously it's going to have some big differences. But right now I'm working on, once again, just general businesses outside of the city that would take use of this area being the industrial area of the city and take use of it being close to the train yard. All the neighborhoods, all the people that live in those neighborhoods would be expected to get jobs around these areas, whether they were in these warehouses or factories. They would most likely get jobs in those areas. Besides just working on these businesses along this road, that's pretty much it for this episode. So I just want to talk about how much progress I'm making and how happy I am with it. I'm glad that I've been able to keep this up for so long, and I'm glad that I'm able to upload these videos so much. So there's going to be way more to come, and I'm gladly recording more. So thanks for the positive feedback, and I'll see you in the next one. So enjoy the rest of the footage, and I'll see you in the next one.